Would you allow me to?
All this was a PG video.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Remove Before Race. My GTR recently came back from a full detail and TLC and protection from Instagram's F1 Wax, better known as Stuart. And Stu did such an amazing job on the car that it actually looks better than the day I got it from the factory. So this got me thinking that we should now tackle one of the things that you guys have commented and asked about most on our satin car reviews, is how do you protect and maintain a car with satin, magno or frozen paintwork? So that's what we're going to tackle today. We're going to go and visit Stu, get his tips, see what he did on the GTR in order to make it better than factory, and just see what this detailing legend has to say about protecting matte paintwork. So let's get the wreck started and get on our way to Dub Customs. Right, so let's get Rexy started. First I've got to put on the 4-point harnesses, which are absolutely key. You can't get a car like the GTR and not have 4-point harness, can you? Just makes everything seem that much more dramatic. Right, so let's put the ignition on, exhaust button on, exhaust on or else. Whoa, hang on a sec. This isn't how we start the day. No, this isn't right. No, haven't had my Costa. Let's turn back. I need my coffee. Then we'll start the day. That's better. Now the day can start.
You have reached your destination.
Here we are at Dub Customs, so let's park up and go and find F1 Wax. Stu!
Hey, Matt, how you doing, mate?
How you doing, buddy?
Good to see you.
Great.
All right.
How's things? What are you working on today?
This 650S
Lovely.
McLaren. So, yeah, it's had a full machine, double layer ceramic, interior
glistening,
package.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's glossy, very glossy. So, yeah, all good.
Well look, thank you for doing such an amazing job on the GTR.
That's all right. My
On the
pleasure.
way here I was explaining that I don't know what you did to it, and we're going to keep that secret anyway.
Yes.
But the end result was that it came out looking better than it did on the day I got it.
Yes.
So as a layman, I'm looking at it thinking the wheels look perfect inside and out.
Mhm.
The paint is glistening more than it ever has. So I thought it might be a good time just to generally talk about satin paintwork.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
it's a question that we get a lot, because satin is becoming such a like not fad, but it's increasing in every car manufacturer now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's quite a popular colour, especially since the M3 Frozen edition.
Frozen. I think that's where it started, didn't it?
Exactly. I used to look after quite a few of those cars when they first came out, and I used to say to people they were very sensitive paints. Like even if you touched them, just literally the oils from your hands could stain them, and then it was quite difficult then to remove.
Because
those
if anything
markings.
happens to it, then you're not talking about one patch, you're talking that entire section has to be redone.
It is, and it's almost, from what I've seen, impossible to repair it properly and match the colour. because especially on the frozen silvers.
Because unlike a gloss like this, if you sprayed it, you get any debris, you can always flatten, polish, and then
there's always
get rid
something
of
you can do. Exactly
stuff.
right. I mean, we had quite an example when a couple of years ago when we were up at Brooklands, and a guy came along and he had an M5 special edition, which is on like a I can't remember the actual edition it was, but it was gold.
Right.
Same thing in a frozen edition, and he'd scratched the boot lid.
Right.
And he'd given it to a friend who said he could polish it out.
Right.
And he had the most beautiful, perfect patch of gloss paint in the middle of what was satin finish.
That's the
yeah.
And
So
you don't
it's-
even actually need to rub it that hard to gloss it up.
No,
either, do
no, you
This is the
don't.
thing.
No. If you pushed hard enough with your finger, you'd gloss it.
Yeah. And if you get any type of like wax type,
Any wax and
Cleaning.
certainly no chemicals.
Yeah.
Again, I had another BMW that had a TFR, the acid traffic film remover, sprayed on it, and it absorbed into the paint.
Yeah.
And when the car was freezing cold,
yeah.
there'd be nothing, and as the paint warmed up, loads and loads of dots appeared, literally where you could see the pattern of where the acid had been sprayed onto the car.
Oh, gosh.
So there must be some kind of porous nature to the paint, and plus the aggression.
So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the satin paint. In terms of what you do, you either come to people
Yes.
to do work privately, or
Yes.
they can bring their cars here
Yeah.
to your station at Dub.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they can be done here. So why don't we
Certainly.
go off to my car and we can talk a little bit about Magno Paintwork.
Sounds good. Cool.
Okay, so here we are with the car that you worked on.
Yes.
So it looks, I mean, as I said, as a layman, I don't know what you did, but the wheels, they're not picking up any dirt. It's been how long now? About a week and a half? Something like that?
2 weeks, my
2
friend.
I mean, look, it's even inside.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
I mean, obviously with the carbon ceramics, it helps with the amounts of volumes of dust, but
Yeah.
the way we treated them, yes, it will repel dirt, dust, all sorts,
because
and
prior
water.
to that, it was like all brown on the inside.
Yeah. They
And-
did have a few staining issues and stuff like that, but again, that's not a problem to remove safely. But no acids, chemicals were used on any part of this car when
Yep.
it was cleaned. Nothing.
Well,
Just
It just looks
good
so
old-fashioned hard work and a few little Stewie secrets.
Now, one layman thing that I noticed was on my car, there was so much swirl mark on
Yes.
the wing.
Yes. Yeah.
So much swirl mark.
Yeah, so naturally that paint is very soft on top of the carbon
top of the
fibre. I mean, you
carbon,
can
yeah.
see the
You
weave
can see
coming
the
through
weave,
now.
can't you? Yeah.
So that is naturally thin paint, therefore it's more susceptible to scratches.
Yeah.
And it's being gloss black, it hides nothing.
And now it just looks like glass,
It should look, absolutely
which is exactly
wet.
what you want.
So yeah, that's quite nice with the sun coming out on it as well.
Well, you see all the gold.
Yeah,
paint
now you can see how much
which
gold is
I don't
actually
think you
within
could
it.
see it as much before you did.
Exactly.
like
It
this.
did start. It come out, from the paint more and more as we worked over those 2 days or 2.5 days, as it were. So yeah.
Magno Paintwork is now, it's becoming, as we said, so much more common. With Mercs now, they're really running with it. So every edition 1, every special edition GT, whatever comes out has a Magno option there
Yes,
somewhere.
yes.
And you've got the whites, you've got the greys.
Yeah, I love
This
the
is
whites.
really
Yeah,
special.
it's great.
And with this particular colour, where I would normally PPF a car,
Yes.
which is Magno, because it just gives you that extra layer of protection.
Sure.
When you've got colour in the paint, it dulls it. And I didn't want to spend that much money on a Magno green paintwork and then you kill the whole colour.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, the natural thing is if you use a satin PPF, it will protect it from stone chips like probably no other product, but it will naturally dull it down, the metallics, it'll blur them a little bit.
And it'll do it
blur
a
them
little bit, I guess, on greys as well. You won't notice
Yeah.
it as much as this.
Exactly, and
but-
also even with the satin PPF, I still think there's a slight bit of glossing to it.
Yeah.
It will slightly change colour. Now it's fine if you do the entire car because
Yeah.
you're probably none the wiser, but if you do the front end, then you are risking seeing a noticeable difference.
Yeah, you see that change, that shift almost,
Exactly,
like one side's
exactly.
been sprayed different to the
Exactly.
other.
And again, it's like we said, it depends on the application of what you can use the car for. If you're
Yeah.
planning to be tracking the car, and personally, yeah, let's PPF the whole thing, and
Yeah.
we know she's
Yeah.
going to be safe because she's going to be doing 150 mile an hour behind and overtaking people.
Yeah.
Whereas if she's going to be a street car,
Yeah.
and show car and stuff like that,
I mean, this is pretty much my daily, so I
A
use
daily.
it. I didn't want to PPF it. Do you think I can get away with a good, like,
yeah, I definitely think with
protection
what we've done,
tap
yeah,
on it,
and the key
like
is
you've
it's
done?
just. I know you're never going to avoid, Sod's law, a bouncing bomb,
Yeah.
stone coming from the other side of the road and hitting the car. That's just bad luck. But driving carefully and not so close to behind. That's where I see all the damage. It's
Yeah.
when people drive
When
too
you get
close
close,
behind people,
yeah.
and even if they're not booting it away from you, you're naturally going to get lots of little.
it just picks it up, doesn't it?
It will, because
the-
it's all
the
flying
wheels.
off the back wheels because no one has mud flaps anymore.
So
on the
what,
cars.
we get a lot of comments saying, how do you just generally take care of it? I mean, should we take
Sure.
it to a normal car wash? Should we take it?
No.
what's,
Please, no.
What's,
No.
what's the advice
No,
to
no, that car.
apart from protection
Yeah.
packages? What can someone at home just do to to make sure that they don't do anything wrong, like gloss it up or scratch it or whatever.
Of course. So now we've done this protection package, less is more. So we don't need any chemicals, we don't need just anything aggressive to the car. It doesn't need acids or anything like that. It needs 2 or 3 bucket method, talking warm water, a nice pH neutral shampoo.
So you get warm water.
Yeah, I mean, even
neutral shampoo.
Exactly. Even if you want
clean sponges and,
grit
cloths
guards in the bucket.
Yeah.
And then so for washing, personally, if you're going to use a noodle, use a brand new one. If you're going to use a lambswool mitt, I'm not really a fan of them. They're almost too good for their own good because they will attract and
they pick up so much.
They will pick up all the grit and dirt. And if you look under the microscopes, you can see all those bits of grit are woven into the material.
And then you start moving that onto
exactly,
the car,
and we're going to
exactly.
And what we don't want is a nasty piece of grit.
So what should you do?
So personally, if it was myself, then again, if you do go down the snow foam route, again, pH neutral. And don't use as much as you think you need. I mean, it's lovely to see it all bubbly and foamy and stuff like that. But it's and it's at times it's needed. But for a car like this, it's gonna, it's not gonna need it.
Yeah.
It's not gonna need it. And also, we don't want anything aggressive attacking any of the sealants we've used and stuff like that. So that's what I would do. And then once we're happy with that, we'd pressure gun it. But we'd pressure gun it at a distance first, because again, what we don't want to do is pressure gun here. Yeah. And then we're smashing it in at 140 psi across the paint. And then
with all the debris on it,
and it's just going to create friction burns and stuff like that.
So start far away, work your way in.
Yeah, so gently work around the car, assess the car. Obviously, if you can do it in the shade, do it.
Yeah, I guess start from top to bottom as well as a sort of...
Not if you foam it. So if you foamed it and stuff like that, obviously the foam's going to drag the dirt off and away from the car. Yeah. So if we jet up here, we're going to wash away the foam before we...
I see what you mean.
So we start at the bottom gently, and then we work our way up. So we're pushing the dirt from there, but again, the idea is to not be too close, because we don't want to... You've seen how much it hurts if you accidentally get it. So imagine, the paint is just like our skin, it's sensitive.
Yeah,
So
well, most people know how thin and sensitive modern paint is. It's not like the old stuff we used to have.
You will damage. What we want, again, is it's almost like being a bouncer in a club. There's 2 ways of asking someone to leave. You can either smash them and throw them out, or you can just ask them nicely, and eventually, hopefully, they'll leave. Yes,
you can do Chewie's Wookiee way and just pick them up and chuck them out.
Exactly. But if you do it the other way, then they're still going to... Yeah, it might take a bit longer for them to leave, but it's the safer way for everybody involved. And it's the same with your paint, just gently, because we've got time to wash it properly. Why are we in a rush? You know, it's not a car for me, it's like a piece of art. So why are we going to rush running around it?
So for owners, better take your time. Even if you have to wait between doing a wash, do it yourself.
Yeah, and wait until you know you've got enough time to do it properly.
Yeah.
Don't rush it. There's no rushing in this game. You can't rush it. So once, again, it's foamed down, we're happy, and then we start the wash. If you're going to use a brand new noodle, that's great. Give it a pressure gun first, just to make sure there's no little bits and pieces in it. Certain sponges you can use. Again, if you're going to use a sponge, people shy away from sponges, but I quite like them at times. So if we're washing this panel here and we're happy with it, we bring our sponge out, and what we do from here, we squeeze it across. So we've immediately got lubrication on the panel. And instead of washing it like this or washing it like this, what I like to do is squeeze it as we push down and away. So we're pushing the dirt away and off the car as we're squeezing it. And then here again, squeeze, push it down. And we only do that twice because we might pick some debris up here.
And you don't want to bring that back.
Exactly.
Like double dipping almost.
Exactly. So straight in the second bucket, give it a good shake to get any grit out, back in our wash bucket, and then across, and the same way all the way around. And we want to stop at this line here. Because ultimately, if there's something stuck on down there, what we don't want to do is pick it up here, and then on our second pass, take it all the way down to the paint. So what we will do is, once we're happy down to that line, you can start at the top once it's been all foamed down and we start the wash. But it's not essential. And then as we do this bit, we can either use a separate bucket with different cloths, different sponges and mitts.
Because we always know they're the lower
part. They're the lower part, and I would personally throw them away after every second wash, because we can't take the risk of anything being stuck in there. And once we're entirely happy with the whole car, jet it down again. Let's do it at a distance and work our way in. All the sealants and stuff we've done on the car will help the dirt fall away from it anyway. And then when we come to dry it...
Well, you can see hardly anything is stuck on since you've done it anyway.
Exactly. And then when we come to dry it, there's 3 ways of drying it, but you can either get a little air blower. The way we've treated this, you could air dry it now. It will just fall away. Or
you get the bubbles appearing, the water bubbles.
Exactly. Or we can get a giant microfying drying towel, and literally what you'll notice is any water that's left, again, friction, less is more. We don't want to do all this. You literally better dab that on there, and it will absorb it.
Absorb it.
And I reckon this car, you might be able to dry the entire car probably with one towel without even wringing it out. And then again with the towels, always make sure you wash them properly, but don't put them in normal wash with any detergents or anything like that. And also, if you've used the washing machine before to wash clothes, run it through on a cycle without anything in it, because we don't want any last little bits of grit and dirt then bonding onto the microfibers of our, and then going back on here.
One really, isn't it? 'Cause they're not that expensive
well,
anyway,
if you get a giant one, I think a really good one's they start at about £9.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, assess it. If it looks dirty and grubby, or you think, if it hits the ground, it's off the ground.
Yeah.
Don't use it. Throw it away.
Throw it away.
Get another
same with
one.
the sponges. Same with everything else. Yeah.
Semi-synthetic leathers are very good that you can get these days from some of the companies. There's one out there called a Mammy. Cartec do it, and it's part microfiber, part chamois.
Okay.
And it's thin, it's very flexible, but it absorbs water like you just wouldn't believe, and it's very soft on the paints. And again, you can almost dab dry. If we can get to that stage where the car is prepared properly, we can dab dry it. Then gone are the days of friction lines and all those kind of things.
So really, it sounds like it's an almost keep it simple thing where you're trying to be as delicate as possible.
Yes.
Soap,
That's
water,
the key
clean
word.
stuff.
Delicate.
And then you're going to stand a pretty damn good chance of not damaging the paintwork.
Yes.
Then obviously, if you do have to go to someone to get the car washed, what's the basic advice? No sort of,
no
waxy
chemicals
type stuff at all.
Yeah, no
chemicals.
Yeah, especially on this type of finish. It doesn't need anything now except maintenance of general safe washing. That's all it needs. And then when you're ready, if you want it topped up, if you want a little bit more gloss put back in a year or two's time, contact me. And then we can do it and stuff like that. I mean, most decent mobile valetters, they know what they're doing. Stuff like that. And everyone has their own thing they like to use and not use. But personally, with this kind of finish, don't be tempted to use aggressive chemicals just to speed up the process. There is no speeding up the process.
Yeah. So it's going to take the time that it's going to take.
Yeah, totally. And have fun doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned adding a bit more shine to it. Now this is interesting because, again, being a layman, I thought satin is what it is. You can't, increase the look of the paintwork. So is this part of you're offering now a protection package through ROK Studio, which will allow protection of the Magno paintwork, but also enhancement of it.
That's correct.
So talk to us about that. What is this enhancement all about? I thought you couldn't do that.
Yeah, you can. Again, the way the cars come out the factories, they are really, really good, but there's always ways of making them a little bit better.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And working with so many of the frozen edition BMs and other satin finish paints like this, I have come up with a way of doing it. So,
which is
secret. Yeah,
but
sorry.
It can be done.
But it can be done. Yeah.
It involves basically building up a sort of protection and a shine to the paintwork.
Exactly. The paint, it takes at least a day to prepare that paint perfectly, and then we can start building up layer by layer, very gently, very carefully, minimal friction again, minimal pressures and stuff like that, and with the exact right mix of what I use. And that's what we get. And again, that's
F1
why
wax secret sauce, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and that's why those metallics are now so much. And again, you can see it's streak free finish. When you work with this kind of paint, if you try and wax it or polish it, you'll either gloss it, streak it, whatever. But what we managed to achieve, and again, it can only be one result, and that's the right one: streak free.
Yeah. People think that you can't streak on the satin because you can't see.
Yes, you can.
But you can. And you can scratch it. You can streak
now,
it.
Now, this Mercedes satin, I must say, is probably the best I've worked on. That they really are, pushing the limits to how good it can be.
They did really say when they announced it that, or they started doing it more, that it's more. It's able to handle more than the gloss paintwork, and I didn't understand that at first.
Yeah, it's a very you can tell when you're working with it. It's hard to explain, but it is a very hardy paintwork. She's not quite as fussy. In fact, she's not as fussy as some of the other ones that I've worked on. Where, you still introduce the same principles of being careful around her and stuff like that. But you can see they've done something with this paint that will take a little bit more accidental grief.
Yes.
From whether a bad car
exactly
wash or whatever.
Yeah.
You can tell. And then so from my side, she wanted to work with me.
Yeah.
The paint wanted to work with me, and then I could just
Stu talks like an artist. You can see it's almost like he's painting a mural. Oh, she wanted to do it.
Thanks. It's just awesome. I love this car.
So people really get nervous, and I get a lot of questions on Instagram saying, "Look, should I actually order Magno paint? Is it going to be a nightmare?"
No, do. It's awesome.
Order it. Yeah.
And when you see it in the flesh, it's just incredible.
You need to get this paint work.
It's great to look at. It's great to work with, and it's certainly probably very nice to own.
Yeah, I think so. Sid, what do you think of the finish, man?
It's all right. No, I'm joking. It's actually really mega.
It's really
Stu,
good.
isn't it? Of course it's Stu.
Of course.
It's actually been me holding.
legend.
It's been me holding the camera all this time. Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Keep it sideways, folks.
Keeping it sideways on a camera like that. Like that. I'm joking.
So yeah, brilliant. Listen, Stu, thank you so much, buddy.
My
really
pleasure.
appreciate your time.
Thanks, Raz. Cheers, buddy.
As we said, look, please give Stu a follow. I've left the link for his Instagram there. In fact, both of his Instagrams. You've got two, haven't you?
Yeah, I've started one recently, which is just for like just an enthusiast page, really. If you see any nice cars and about and stuff like that,
Yeah, send them to Stu.
send them through, because I'm always interested in what's out there.
And then if you want any work done, either contact him directly, mention us at ROK Studio, you might get a nice little deal as well.
You will.
Or come to ROK and we can get this special Magna protection paintwork done for you. But yeah, that's the advice on taking care of Magna paintwork. Do order it, it's really good, it's very hard wearing, and it just looks, as you can see,
Awesome.
absolutely fantastic, and it really brings out the lines on design like Mercedes cars. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you again soon.